Let's go local now. Tongaat-Hulett is next. And remember, this is a business with sugar operations, both here in South Africa as well as in Mozambique and Zimbabwe. It is also a major producer of starch, which gets used in things like coffee creamer and beer. So that's taking maize, I think, and extracting starch-based outcomes. Glucose, well, that's also starch glucose. Those two are related. And then property development, not to forget that, because it owns all of the land around the greater Durban area and has been a property developer selling off hectare by hectare into multiple developments. Market cap is 16.5 billion rands. We're talking rands now on the local market. Price earnings ratio 19.15, dividend yield 1.31. Joseph, this is the one where you said that notwithstanding the terrible times for the sugar industry recently, the price has been higher and they seem to have had a better set of results most recently.
Certainly, I think they were smiling last week when the numbers were looking good. I think their sales were looking better. But I think from a rand perspective, it's purely because the prices of the commodities, their sugar, their main product. So
production has not been good, but the prices have been better. And hopefully now better times lie ahead because of certain dams and rainfall that has now fallen.
No, certainly. I think if we go into the opposite of El Nino, certainly I think they're going to have lots of rainfalls, which also then reduces their operating costs in terms of having to irrigate most of those sugar farms.
And I saw some reference to how there were some dams that have been constructed in that Genevan province up in Mozambique, and then something also in the area where is the Masvingo area, where Hippo Valley is, which is where a lot of their sugar estates are in Zim.
Certainly. That still remains quite a good chunk of their business. But I think if we get good rains and the dams come through, they should be able to do well in the next 1 or 2 years.
Well, let's talk about the Voermol business, which is the starch and glucose. That seems to be doing well, so that's got an input into beer. But they said they expanded one of their facilities near Germiston, which was used to manufacture one of the key ingredients for coffee creamer. I didn't know that was an ingredient of coffee creamer, but I suppose it's desiccated milk plus some sort of
some sugar and
thing
starch,
just to kind of hold the stuff when you pour it into the coffee.
No, fantastic. that's very true. But I think if we're to look in terms of, say, Zim, they supply to Delta. Delta is obviously the old SAB here. The beer volumes were low in Zim purely because of, hopefully, not because of the credit issues in Zim, because there's no money in the economy. But certainly, I think if you look in terms of their value chain, some of their products that they supply to the beer making is inelastic.
It's on the move. Okay, what about the property development? Because that comes and goes. I mean, obviously Durban is expanding slowly into the northern area around Umhlanga and beyond. That's a lot of opportunity there. Is Sibaya, I think they call it, Cornubia is another area, so it's kind of mixed use. Sometimes it's a couple of hectares here, a couple of hectares there, but that's high value.
It's almost a seller's market. That's what I wanted to say, basically, purely because there's so much demand and purely because the cities are almost expanding, moving into different hubs.
The big infrastructure there is great. The airport is there, the big N2 highways there. Let's take share price. So it has had a bit of a recovery. It's been a heavy sledding, though, because the sugar overhang has been the major concern. You know, weak sugar prices and a drought is a very nasty combination. Now we've got slightly higher sugar prices, slightly, I say, because remember, the sugar price to some extent follows oil because of the Brazilians' big crop, which is used for ethanol. So are we hot on this one now? What do you think?
I would actually go hot. I was going to say we might end up.
The time is now.
Yeah, the time is now. If you look at it, the price basically is back to 2013. So we picked up in 2015, 2014, and had that slide. But all of a sudden, they're talking about a little bit of a recovery within the commodities sector.
Okay, so let's be positive, optimistic, and rain-oriented, and go hot on that one. Tongaat-Hulett.